The price and pre-order bonuses for Horizon Forbidden West's Burning Shores DLC have been revealed. Horizon Forbidden West received positive reviews upon its launch last year, and developer Guerrilla Games announced a new DLC for the game at the Game Awards event in December 2022. Sony launched the Frozen Wilds DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn in 2017, so it doesn't come as a surprise for its sequel to get an expansion as well. However, little has been revealed about the new content coming in the Burning Shores DLC, with only a confirmed release date of April 19th. Now, Sony has announced pre-order bonuses for Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores, along with its final price point. Sony confirms that anyone who pre-orders Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores will receive the Black Tide dye outfit and Black Tide Sharp Shot bow as bonuses. Fans can take a look at the outfit and the weapon in the given trailer, with both being available from in-game merchants when Burning Shores comes out. PlayStation also reveals that the story of the Burning Shores DLC starts right after the ending of Horizon Forbidden West, and players are required to finish the main quest of the base game to access the expansion. Aloy will then travel to a dangerous region where she will meet brand new characters and face off against new machines. Pre-orders for Burning Shores already have gone live, and it's confirmed to be priced at $20. Guerrilla Games also mentions that it will share further details about Burning Shores in the near future. As there is only a month left before its launch, it'll be interesting to see when Sony decides to highlight the new content and features of Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores. The Frozen Wilds DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn had the same $20 asking price, and it featured around 7 to 8 hours of main story content. So, Burning Shores may also feature a similarly long story, but players will have to wait for its launch for full confirmation. Offering a pre-order bonus for a DLC isn't seen too often in the current gaming landscape, though another huge title has also recently announced it's offering a pre-order bonus for its own set of expansions later this year. Just a few weeks ago, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet announced its own DLC expansion pass. And, if players pre-ordered the pass, then they'd receive a Hisuian Zoroark that otherwise can't be obtained through normal gameplay. While it doesn't necessarily indicate the start of a new trend in gaming, it is very interesting that two of the biggest DLCs of the year are both offering fans digital bonuses if they pre-order the expansions. After all, this approach to DLC does make a lot of sense. DLC expansions are no longer just a small set of missions that can be pushed out in a week or two, but are instead often fully fledged campaigns in their own right, usually adding entire new regions and open-world areas to the game. It makes sense that developers and publishers would want to convince as many players as possible to capitalize on the release's hype. If the recently revealed price of Horizon Forbidden West's Burning Shores expansion is any kind of signifier, the Volcanic Los Angeles DLC could be relatively short. There could be a bunch of optional content that takes players much longer, but if the main story content is a little on the shorter side, then that could leave enough of a gap between it and Star Wars Jedi Survivor for its praises to potentially be sung. Horizon can't seem to catch a break from competitive game releases, and Horizon Forbidden West's Burning Shores DLC has its own April contender. This harkens back to the age-old debate about whether quantity lives up to quality, and how many open-world games have suffered extreme bloat from either filling their environments with shallow content or not filling their environments at all. Because Burning Shores is a DLC expansion, it would be great to see Guerrilla's approach to an open world diluted to a granular design where only the most substantial content is there for players to peruse. A new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game is currently in development, and it will adapt the 2020 graphic novel, The Last Ronin. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been beloved pop culture icons for over 3 decades. Originally created in the 1980s as a parody of the superhero genre, the Turtles quickly became a sensation and spawned numerous adaptations across different media. The latest addition to this list is the aforementioned video game adaptation. The Last Ronin is a darker and more mature take on the Ninja Turtles franchise. The story is set in a dystopian future where only one of the turtles has survived. The lone surviving turtle seeks justice for his fallen brothers and father figure Master Splinter. The Last Ronin video game adaptation promises to be an authentic representation of the comic series, according to Doug Rosen, Senior Vice President for Games and Emerging Media at Paramount Global, the rights holders for the franchise. As revealed by Polygon, the game will also differ from other TMNT games in several other ways, including the fact that it will primarily be a single-character title, with a focus on the quest for vengeance. It will be an ambitious, AAA title, in the vein of Sony Santa Monica's recent God of War games. Ronin also hinted that other characters could be playable in flashback sequences, but the primary action will center on the only surviving turtle. This is in contrast to other TMNT games, where players typically control all 4 turtles and their allies. This adaptation is being developed by an unnamed studio, and is a few years away from release according to Ronin, who also hinted at the possibility of developing multiple TMNT games aimed at different age groups, with the last Ronin game targeting a more mature audience. This is in line with Paramount's recent efforts to expand the TMNT franchise beyond the usual fare of cartoon shows and merchandise. This game is also the latest example of Paramount choosing to avoid the traditionally seen more light-hearted depiction of the turtles. The franchise did start out as a somewhat darker version of what we are familiar with today in the original comic book. But it remains to be seen how longtime Turtles fans will react to this new interpretation. However, it may bring some solace to those who have been calling out for Rocksteady to make a TMNT game for over a decade, even though the Batman Arkham studio isn't involved. The choice to adapt this version also makes it clear that Paramount is willing to take risks with the franchise and explore new avenues of storytelling. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are currently enjoying a video game renaissance. Over the past year, the heroes in a half-shell have had old adventures brought back through the Cowabunga collection, released a new beat-em-up called Shredder's Revenge, and made various cameos like Shredder's release as a playable character in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. This week Paramount revealed a video game adaptation of the TMNT The Last Ronin comic book series, one of the darkest and most mature takes on the Ninja Turtles franchise. Given the comic's unique story, The Last Ronin already has one big advantage over past TMNT games. TMNT The Last Ronin follows Michelangelo, the lone survivor of an extermination plot by the Foot Clan, in one dark possible future. Now a master of his craft and those of his fallen brothers Raphael, Leonardo, and Donatello, Michelangelo seeks to avenge their deaths, along with those of Master Splinter and Casey Jones. He decides to attack the Foot compound head-on and defeat its current leader, Oroku Hiroto, with the story spanning 5 comic issues and a follow-up series in 2023, The Last Ronin The Lost Years. Compared to other Turtles adaptations, The Last Ronin promises to give its singular protagonist more depth and gameplay options. The Last Ronin comic series killed off 3 of the 4 Ninja Turtles prior to the main story, and it's likely the video game adaptation will also take place 16 years after, once Michelangelo has completed his transformation into the titular Last Ronin. In doing so, this video game title offers a unique gameplay opportunity. Players will control a single Ninja Turtle who wields the full TMNT arsenal, rather than splitting their time between 4 distinct characters. TMNT The Last Ronin is said to be taking major inspiration from modern God of War titles, leading many to believe it will feature a similarly complex combat system. Like God of War, The Last Ronin can offer the opportunity to build skills in all combat types, with options on where to invest in upgrades for a preferred play style across different weapons. The ability to switch between tools and chain certain skills could allow The Last Ronin to excel in areas where other TMNT games have fallen short or grown stale, with gameplay that matches the title's more mature tone. Inspirations should be also taken from the Greek saga of God of War. Paramount's Senior Vice President for Games and Emerging Media Doug Rosen told Polygon that the Last Ronin game adaptation will be an ambitious, AAA title. He also hinted that other characters could be playable in flashback sequences, while still adhering to the title's single-player focus. These scenes would likely take place during the Foot Clan's extermination attempt, possibly depicting the deaths of Raphael, Leonardo, and Donatello alongside their mentor and closest friends on screen. Those interested in TMNT's most mature and complex comic story yet likely have some time to wait before they hear more, but The Last Ronin's AAA ambitions and God of War influences provide hope that when it does arrive, it will give this unique adaptation the respect it rightfully deserves. After a long tenure at Firaxis Games, XCOM and Marvel's Midnight Suns director Jake Solomon is about to leave the company to establish his own development studio that won't focus on producing an all-new turn-based strategy game. A recent interview with Solomon has revealed that he's got big plans for his next project and he's excited to try something new. The fact that Jake Solomon is leaving Firaxis Games was officially announced a few weeks ago, with the affected parties separating on amicable terms. Solomon appears to have simply been ready to move on to different things, and the only potential problem for his previous company is that the studio head, Steve Martin, ended up leaving as well, which may or may not lead to a tumultuous time for the developer of the Civilization franchise. Solomon's time at Firaxis Games has helped define the studio through some monumental releases, one of the most notable of which is the revival of the revered XCOM franchise. Now, however, it would appear that the former Firaxis director aims to tackle entirely different genres. During his talk with journalist Simon Parkin on the My Perfect Console podcast, as reported by VGC, Solomon said that he found that he wasn't that excited about doing another turn-based strategy game. The issue wasn't with the genre itself, according to Solomon. Instead, he'd just like to do a whole new thing and be completely in charge of it, rather than sticking with something tried and true. Even though Marvel's Midnight Suns underperformed, this doesn't seem to have affected Solomon all that much. Instead, Solomon said that he was inspired by Sid Meier's own success in the industry and felt that the time was right for him to do something new and different. "I want to make a systems-based game," said Solomon, clarifying that he wishes for it to be more of a life simulator or a simulation-style game. This may end up resulting in something along the lines of an immersive sim, such as Dishonored or Prey, though it's still too early to say. While Jake Solomon may be primarily known for his input on the XCOM and Midnight Suns titles, he also had a hand in working on the seminal Civilization releases. Now that Firaxis officially announced Civilization 7, it's going to be interesting to see how the franchise continues without some of the studio's most tenured and experienced employees. Solomon's departure may be particularly problematic for the rumored XCOM 3 title, though this is unlikely to get an official announcement anytime soon. Since Solomon's input defined the XCOM games from the very start, Firaxis may find it more challenging to come up with new features, systems, and concepts for the third mainline title while maintaining the vibe of the previous entries. Knowing now that Solomon is interested in developing a life simulation title helps to shine some light as to why Midnight Suns included these systems. But with the door open for a new hand to guide Firaxis' next tactics-based title, there is hope that XCOM 3 will course-correct from that game's slight missteps. Respawn Entertainment Star Wars FPS will take inspiration from some popular classics, the company has revealed. The EA-owned studio is currently developing multiple Star Wars games and several other projects, according to its previous disclosures and insider reports. In early March, Respawn creative director Ryan Lastimosa announced he was leaving EA after a 13-year stint with the company. Since then, his former studio went on an apparent hiring spree, advertising nearly 50 open roles at its Los Angeles and Vancouver offices, as well as several hybrid positions open to applicants across the country. Nearly half of those LinkedIn job listings, encompassing roles ranging from level designers and artists to cinematic leads and animators, pertain to Respawn's upcoming Star Wars FPS, with all of them stating that the upcoming game is inspired by 90s classics such as Star Wars Dark Forces and Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. EA's January 2022 announcement of 3 Star Wars games was coy with the details, mentioning nothing in the way of inspirations for any one of them. However, it did tout the yet-to-be-unveiled FPS as a story-driven experience, which these newly emerged listings reaffirm, explicitly stating that this is going to be a single-player game. The postings also point to Unreal Engine 5 as Respawn's engine of choice for its Star Wars FPS, although that detail was already revealed by the company's recruiters back in summer 2022. Respawn's official website has been advertising 11 additional roles pertaining to the Star Wars FPS as of March 23. The contents of those listings match their LinkedIn counterparts, underlining that the upcoming game will take inspiration from LucasArts' Dark Forces shooters. Both of those titles enjoyed an overwhelmingly positive response in the 90s, with many gamers praising their blend of action and puzzle solving. While Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was much more clearly inspired by the likes of Dark Souls and Metroid Prime, Respawn's first-ever Star Wars game also made a fairly successful attempt at delivering gameplay that focused on action while still offering variety with plentiful puzzle and platforming portions. Its incoming sequel will do much of the same, with EA's studio previously revealing that Star Wars Jedi Survivor also features wide-open planet exploration segments. Apart from its Fallen Order follow-up and this single-player FPS, Respawn is currently also developing a Star Wars strategy game. This trio of titles could feasibly be followed by another single-player experience set in a galaxy far, far away, with Respawn game director Stig Asmussen recently stating that he always wanted the Star Wars Jedi games to be a trilogy. Speaking of EA, unfortunately for fans of the games, EA and DICE are delisting 3 of their most popular games on April 28, Battlefield 1943, Battlefield Bad Company and Battlefield Bad Company 2. All 4 of these games earned mostly positive reception at the time of their original release, with many Battlefield fans often pointing to Battlefield Bad Company 2 as one of the absolute best games in the series. The game is still remembered fondly to this day, but 15 years after launch, it's being pulled from sale on digital storefronts. Starting April 28, it will be impossible for fans to purchase digital copies of Battlefield 1943, Battlefield Bad Company and Battlefield Bad Company 2. According to EA and DICE, this is being done in preparation for the retirement of the game's online services, which will take place on December 8, 2023. Since Battlefield Bad Company and Battlefield Bad Company 2 offer offline gameplay as well, it's unclear why they have to be pulled from digital storefronts. Regardless, anyone that's interested in owning these games digitally has about a month to purchase them. In a statement on the matter, DICE said, "While these titles hold a special place in our heart, we're now looking forward to creating new memories alongside you as we shift our focus towards our current and future Battlefield experiences." This statement is likely going to upset fans further, as DICE and EA have not really provided a Battlefield Bad Company equivalent for modern platforms. Rumors have persisted about a potential Battlefield Bad Company 3 over the years, but nothing has materialized. Not only that, but the newer entries in the Battlefield franchise haven't been nearly as well received as the titles being delisted on April 28. Battlefield 2042's launch was a disaster, and while things have turned around a bit, it's safe to say many fans are eager to see DICE move on to other projects. It remains to be seen what's next for the Battlefield franchise, but hopefully some kind of Bad Company equivalent is released to make up for these games being delisted and shut down. After announcing earlier in the week that Mirror's Edge would be delisted from digital storefronts, EA retracts this announcement. It is not clear why this error even occurred, given that Mirror's Edge does not have any connection to the Battlefield franchise other than the fact that both were developed by DICE. Unlike the Battlefield games, Mirror's Edge is a single-player game with no online multiplayer functionality. While it did initially contain online leaderboards upon launch, the leaderboards functionality was removed in October of last year. So the game literally contained no online functionality at the time of the delisting announcement. This statement correcting the error came as a huge relief to fans of Mirror's Edge, who were concerned that they would no longer be able to purchase or play the game after it was delisted. While the game's removal from digital stores wouldn't have rendered it unplayable for those who already owned it, the fact that it would no longer be available for purchase would have made it much more difficult for new players to experience the game. Mirror's Edge first released in 2008 and is an action-adventure game that was developed by DICE and published by EA. It features a first-person perspective and gameplay that emphasizes parkour style, movement and free running. The game was a critical success when it was released and has managed to maintain a large following of dedicated fans for over a decade. It is this fanbase who expressed their outrage towards EA following the delisting announcement earlier this week. The initial announcement of Battlefield 1943, Battlefield, Bad Company, and Battlefield, Bad Company 2 being shut down unfortunately still stands. This decision was made because the online servers for the Battlefield games in question are to be shut down on December 8 of this year. It makes sense to remove games from the market and make them unavailable for purchase when the publisher no longer holds the license for them, like in the case of Activision's X-Men and Transformers games. However, the Battlefield games are being delisted solely because EA is unwilling to continue paying for the servers. Although the servers will not be shut down until the end of the year, gamers interested in playing those 3 Battlefield games or preserving them for future generations have just over a month to purchase them before they are delisted forever. EA has confirmed that it is shutting down the online services of 4 games, those being Syndicate, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, Shadows of the Damned, and Warp. As is common in the online gaming world, companies eventually end support for the multiplayer components of certain games after a few years. This is the fate that now awaits Syndicate and a few other games from EA. Support for the action horror shooter Shadows of the Damned for PS3, Xbox 360, and Xbox One will end. The 2011 game follows a demon hunter on his journey to hell to save the love of his life. On May 15, 2 games will see the end of online services for PC, Xbox 360, and PS3. The first will be Warp, a 2012 puzzler where the player commands Zero, an adorable but lethal alien. The second game will be Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, an action RPG released in 2012 and written by Todd McFarlane, the creator of the iconic comic book character Spawn. Finally, on June 15, players will bid farewell to the online services of the 2012 shooter Syndicate for PC, PS3, and Xbox 360. The first 3 games are backward compatible, so they can be played on modern Xbox consoles by players using physical copies. It is worth noting that those who do not already own any of the games are in bad luck, as Syndicate, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, and Shadows of the Damned can no longer be purchased digitally. On the other hand, Warp is still available for PC via Steam. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, a remaster of the game that has Elder Scrolls for Oblivion lead designer Ken Ralston as part of the development team, is available for PC and consoles. This practice follows the shutdown of several Medal of Honor games' online services. The removal of online services is something common, especially in the case of old games, and it is no different with Syndicate, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, Shadows of the Damned, and Warp. There are indeed exceptions like Quake, a game that maintains an active community even though it was released almost 30 years ago. But generally what happens is that players migrate to newer titles, making online features no longer necessary in the case of older ones. But delisting an entire game is very bad and further raises the concerns over game preservation. CCP Games, the developer and publisher of sci-fi space voyage MMO EVE Online, has just announced that it is working on a spin-off video game that will utilize blockchain technology. Securing funding from partners outside the company, CCP Games is looking to build a AAA title that is also set in the EVE Online universe. Many fans will likely recall that EVE Online was launched back in 2003, making 2023 its 20th year in the industry. Despite its age, the MMO continues to thrive, with the development team seeming to be very in touch with its player base and community. What's more, constant news is shared by the team, whether it's deep dives into new content through official channels or bigger game updates like EVE Online expansions. However, the new title announcement does have blockchain technology attached to it, which may influence a gamer's decision in playing the game, even if they are avid fans. CCP Games made the announcement on Twitter that a new spin-off title set in the EVE Online universe is going to be developed by the company. CCP Games revealed in the same announcement that it has received funding of $40 million through venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz. The company also created an official microsite for the project, which will likely host updates for the upcoming video game. However, as of writing, only quotes from the developers' partners and simple details about the project have been shared through an official press release. According to the press release, the main features of the upcoming EVE Online spin-off game system will be developed on-chain. The company's utilization of blockchain technology seems to be focused on the way it is able to create new connections between virtual worlds and its users. With EVE Online heavily reliant on player autonomy within its server and the development team probably eager to explore new technology to bring interesting experiences to its fan base. It is not surprising for CCP Games to consider what on-chain gaming has to offer. Fans will likely remember that CCP Games CEO Hilmar Vegar Petersen said back in 2021 that NFTs and blockchain technology would not be coming to EVE Online anytime soon. However, with the kind of funding the company is receiving from one of the largest venture capital firms in the world, the developer likely wanted to give the technology a try. Fortunately, for those apprehensive about NFTs and blockchain, the new AAA title's production will be a completely separate project from the company's current ones, including EVE Online. The Epic Games Store has opened game submissions for independent developers. Amid this announcement, Epic also took some time to criticize its main competitor Steam for building services that lock people in its store and vowed to avoid these anti-consumer practices. This fierce competition between Epic and Steam has been going on since 2018 when the Epic Games Store was first launched. By offering a comprehensive list of free games, Epic paid its way into popularity, also offering money to several developers to keep a few titles as exclusives. However, not even free games every week were enough to top Steam's dominance, and Epic continues to be second to Valve's gaming platform. According to the official announcement, Epic's new move to rival Steam is to allow indie and mid-sized publishers to self-publish on the store. Independent publishers can pay $100, the same fee as Steam, to submit games for the platform's library. Most rules are not surprising, such as not scamming users or having inaccurate descriptions, but there are also a few unique ones. One of them is to allow crossplay with any other game stores that the developer offers games for. In a recent interview with PC Gamer, Epic SEO Tim Sweeney threw shade on Steam's crossplay policies, saying they were bad for the industry. He complained that many Steam services such as its API Steamworks do not work with other platforms, and vowed to do differently. The main difference between Steam and Epic's policies, however, is about games with sexual content. Epic will not allow any kind of game that has an adults-only rating. This has been the company's stance on the subject since 2019. However, the guidelines are not very specific about what is and isn't allowed, which may cause a few problems down the road when developers include nudity in games that otherwise are not too sexually themed. It's still too soon to say how this change will impact Epic and its competition with Steam, but while nothing changes, Epic is still offering free games every week. A proof-of-concept video has been shared showing the integration of ChatGPT into Unity. Prevalence of ChatGPT is only increasing with time, and the software is already being used in various industries, including healthcare, finance, and customer service. Beyond these more practical uses, there is also potential for ChatGPT to be utilized in the creative sphere. Judging by the video doing the rounds currently, game development could likely be the next industry to be transformed by AI software. For the uninitiated, ChatGPT is a powerful language model developed by OpenAI, based on the GPT 3.5 architecture. It is capable of generating human-like responses to a wide range of natural language queries. On the other hand, Unity is one of the most popular game engines in the industry. It is used by millions of developers worldwide to aid in the creation games for various platforms, including console, mobile, and PC. Unity developer Kijiro Takahashi shared the video via Twitter. In the video, Kijiro is using a ChatGPT plugin for Unity Editor to type natural language prompts directly into the engine's editor to generate objects, move them, and duplicate them. This introduction of official ChatGPT integration into Unity has the potential to change the entire landscape of video game development. The AI command project is available to find on GitHub. Those who wish to use it should have Unity 2022.2 or later and generate a special API key. While it is easy to be blown away by the power of this tool, it should be noted that for right now, this plugin is only intended as a proof of concept. Takahashi himself has spoken about the several times that he entered a command that the plugin failed to implement correctly. With that being said though, like all AI software, ChatGPT is capable of growing in complexity along with the passage of time, as it learns from other data being uploaded to the internet on a regular basis. Combine that with the fact that the developers of the GPT 3.5 architecture are already working on GPT-4, and suddenly the idea of developing a fully fledged video game with no knowledge of programming becomes a possibility. Last month, the YouTube channel Corridor Crew uploaded a video showing how they were able to create an anime-style animation using a combination of AI software and video editing. The combination of these two advancements means that in years to come, it is not completely outside the realm of possibility that someone with a surface-level understanding of development technology could create their own video game from scratch. Some leaked images hint that Disney and Square Enix could be teaming up for yet another new gaming project, this time a Super Smash Bros. Style brawler featuring characters like Mickey Mouse, Woody from Toy Story, and Thanos from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Disney and Square Enix have famously worked together on the beloved Kingdom Hearts series, which combines worlds and characters from the House of Mouse's greatest franchises and elements of the Final Fantasy series. With blockbuster properties like Marvel and Star Wars to go along with the Disney princesses and Pixar, Disney has licensed a vast wealth of video games over the past few years, and this looks to continue well into 2023 thanks to the impending releases of titles like Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Kingdom Hearts 4 is also in the works at Square Enix, ensuring that the fan-favorite collaboration between Disney and Final Fantasy will continue well into the future. As it turns out, this might not be the only thing these two giants of the gaming and entertainment industries are working on. A Reddit user by the handle of Mark Marrow posted a series of images to r/Switch suggesting that a Disney-themed platform fighter could be in development under the working title of Disney Domination. The images include a title screen featuring Disney Castle being swarmed by a shadowy force, a loading screen of what appears to be Mickey Mouse in his hooded Kingdom Hearts attire, a Ghost Rider-like skeletal figure who may be the game's central antagonist, and Woody from Toy Story preparing for battle. Not much else is shown, but the title screen features copyrights for Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Pixar among the expected Disney and Square Enix ones. While Super Smash Bros. Remains the golden standard when it comes to platform-based crossover fighters, there have been several attempts to copy the long-running franchise's formula over the past few years. In 2021, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl pitted cable cartoon icons like SpongeBob SquarePants and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles against each other. A year later, Warner Bros. Partnered with lesser-known developer Player First Games for Multiversus, a free-to-play multiplayer brawler featuring characters from properties like DC Comics and Game of Thrones. If these leaked images are to be believed, then it looks like Disney might be finally throwing its own massive hat into the growing Smash-style platform fighting arena after years of speculation and wishful thinking from fans. With a laundry list of instantly recognizable characters from Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars to build a playable roster from, Disney Domination could very well give Super Smash Bros. A run for its money if it is indeed in development at Square Enix. It's a well-established fact that Remedy Entertainment, the studio behind the classic Max Payne titles, Alan Wake, and Control, is working on numerous upcoming titles alongside the long-awaited Alan Wake 2. These games, specifically, are Control 2 and Project Condor, and publisher 505 Games has provided information about their respective budgets and production pipelines. Both Control 2 and Project Condor are essentially follow-ups to Remedy's critically acclaimed Control. Inspired by the likes of SCP, Area X, and other assorted weird media, Control established a new baseline of success for the developer, allowing the studio both to connect it to its previous releases and expand upon this new combined universe with subsequent releases. According to a recent financial report coming from 505 Games owner, Digital Brothers, Control has sold over 3 million copies over the past 3 years, bringing in €92 million in revenue. The game's budget was a relatively meager €30 million, making Control a very successful outing and a stellar starting point for the future of the Remedy-connected universe. Exputer also noted that the same financial report revealed 505 Games allocated budgets for Remedy's follow-up titles. Notably, the developer will have €50 million for Control 2, while the cooperative multiplayer offshoot Project Condor has been allotted an additional €25 million investment. Another important thing to note in this regard is that both of the aforementioned games will be developed using Remedy's in-house Northlight engine, which received substantial upgrades for the 2019 release of Control. This means that 505 Games investments could pan out even more than before. Broadly speaking, things are seemingly looking up for Remedy Entertainment. Earlier in 2023, the studio offered some insight into the development of Alan Wake 2 and the upcoming Max Payne remakes, and everything seems to be lining up rather neatly. Alan Wake 2 should launch in 2023, which means that it's likely neither Control 2 nor Project Condor will be shown off in great detail anytime soon. Since all of these titles exist in the same shared universe, however, fans of Jessie Faden and her strange adventures in the oldest house have much to look forward to no matter which game Remedy ends up putting out first. In the interim, those who'd like to return to the universe of Control for another playthrough may wish to look into player-made mods to enhance their next playthrough. Notably, a recent Control mod improved DLSS and ray tracing features by a substantial margin, helping elevate the game even further beyond its already impressive graphical fidelity. CD Projekt Red currently has 6 projects in the works, including multiple Cyberpunk and Witcher game projects. CD Projekt Red is the department at CD Projekt that handles game development. It has exclusively developed games set in the Witcher and Cyberpunk universes since its inception, and while that will remain true for the most part, CD Projekt Red is also working on its very first original IP. CD Projekt Red is not leading development on all 6 games that it's involved in, but it is at least participating in a supervisory role or having subsidiary CD Projekt Red North America lead the charge. Of course, it's entirely possible that there are even more games in development at CD Projekt Red and its associated studios, but these 6 are the ones that have actually been announced to the public. The only CD Projekt Red project with a release window is Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, a large-scale expansion in the works for Cyberpunk 2077. Phantom Liberty is said to have the biggest budget of any CD Projekt Red DLC so far, letting players explore new areas, interact with new areas, and experience new stories set in the Cyberpunk universe. Notably, Phantom Liberty will have some significant Hollywood star power backing it. Besides the fact that Keanu Reeves is back to reprise his role as Johnny Silverhand, Idris Elba will also play one of the key characters in the Phantom Liberty expansion. It's no secret that the Cyberpunk 2077 launch was rough for CD Projekt Red, but the company is not ready to give up on the franchise. A Cyberpunk 2077 sequel has been confirmed to be in development, though it's unclear when exactly it will hit store shelves. Considering all the other projects that are in the works, it's highly likely that fans will have quite a few years to wait before they catch their first glimpse of the game. Cyberpunk certainly has its fans, especially after the success of the Edge Runners anime series, but it's safe to say that most CD Projekt Red fans are most interested in the company's Witcher franchise. Luckily, fans of The Witcher should have plenty to look forward to in the years ahead, with at least 3 new Witcher franchise games in the works. First up is a Witcher remake game in development by Fool's Theory with CD Projekt Red supervising. The Witcher remake is being made using Unreal Engine 5 and will give fans a new way to experience Geralt's first video game adventure. The first Witcher game is very dated in many ways, and so a remake could be a great way for fans to experience the game with more modern features and quality of life enhancements. No release window has been announced for the Witcher remake. Those wanting a completely brand new experience can look forward to The Witcher 4, or whatever it ends up being called, which is currently in the works at CD Projekt Red proper. This new Witcher game is meant to be the start of a new Witcher saga, and so it's unclear if it will be pushed as Witcher 4 or if it will go by a different name. Whatever the case may be, the new Witcher game is also being made with Unreal Engine 5, so chances are good it will be a graphically impressive game whenever it releases. And finally, the Molasses Flood is making a new Witcher game, currently known as Projekt Sirius, that will feature single-player content but will also have a multiplayer focus. There will be a single-player campaign with quests and a story, but otherwise not much is known about Projekt Sirius. The Molasses Flood previously made the indie game The Flame in the Flood, which could be an indication of Projekt Sirius' scale, but that's just speculation at this time. Fans will have to wait to see the game in action to know more about what exactly it's bringing to the table. With 2 Cyberpunk projects and 3 Witcher games on the way, CD Projekt Red fans have plenty to look forward to. They also have CD Projekt Red's first original IP, currently known as Projekt Hadar, to look forward to as well, though nothing is known about it at the time of this writing. Right now, all fans know is that Projekt Hadar is in the concept stage of development, and so fans shouldn't hold their breath about learning more about it at any point in the near future. As per a recent report, CD Projekt Red's multiplayer game based on The Witcher might already be undergoing some notable changes. The multiplayer title, known as Projekt Sirius, was among the series of Witcher games CDPR announced in October 2022. While not many details have been divulged regarding these projects since then, one update from the company suggests that the company is still figuring out how to incorporate the multiplayer aspects into The Witcher. Since the debut of its first game, The Witcher has gained massive popularity over the years, mostly fueled by the appeal of The Witcher 3 and the Netflix series. Capitalizing on this growing interest, CDPR announced that it's working on 3 Witcher projects including the 4th mainline installment, The Witcher 1 Remake, and the multiplayer entry. This means CDPR is currently working on 6 projects in total. The company followed this up by stating that The Witcher 4 is part of a trilogy, pointing out that 2 more sequels will make their way at some point. As fans eagerly wait for the company's take on a live service title in the Witcher universe, CDPR's recent report may warrant some caution on that expectation. In a report to its investors, CDPR mentions it's taking an impairment charge for the Molasses Floods project Sirius and that the company is working on formulating a new framework for the Witcher multiplayer game. The company further states that the project has already amounted to 33.4 million PLN, $7.61 million during 2022 and a further 9.5 million PLN, $2.16 million in the first couple of months of 2023. While CDPR hasn't offered specifics on what this entails, the report indicates that Projekt Sirius may scrap its current build and look for a new multiplayer approach over financial concerns. Of course, it's worth noting that this game's multiplayer component comes in addition to a single-player campaign. So it's likely that the rework will include both elements, though the bulk of the effort may be skewed toward the multiplayer. This change in direction comes mere months after CDPR hinted at a possible multiplayer co-op and PvE functionality in Projekt Sirius via a job posting for a senior multiplayer designer. Either way, it will be a while until CDPR officially updates fans on what to expect from the multiplayer experience. It's no secret that the company has been exploring the live service space with its IPs over the years. Previously, its much-hyped Cyberpunk 2077 was originally meant to have a multiplayer mode until the studio scrapped the idea. Now, as CDPR looks to bring a live service game to its portfolio via The Witcher, it will be interesting to see how the company will navigate the space. But the multiplayer title isn't the only ambitious project in the works for the Witcher universe. Fan expectations have set in for the next big entry, particularly as Witcher 4 will be utilizing Unreal Engine 5 over its own Unreal Engine. In any case, the next few years mark an interesting period for both fans and CDPR. How far these ambitious projects will pan out, only time will tell. Bigscreen VR has revealed its new Bigscreen Beyond, the world's smallest virtual reality headset. However, big things can come in small packages, as the tiny display offers a staggering 5K resolution. This is more than twice the pixels of major competitors like the Oculus Quest 2 and HTC Vive, despite significantly reducing the hardware's size and weight. CEO Darshan Shankar founded Bigscreen VR in 2014 as a virtual reality software developer. Its namesake software launched in 2016 and has over 6 million users, according to the company's website. Described as a virtual living room, it lets users watch movies, play games, collaborate with coworkers, and socialize in a digital space. No longer just a software company, Bigscreen plans to launch its first-ever VR headset this year. The Bigscreen Beyond features two 2560 by 2560 resolution panels for a total resolution of 5120 by 2560 pixels, putting it well into the 5K range. It also offers a refresh rate of up to 90 Hz and a 90 degrees field of view while weighing only 127 grams, or around 0.28 pounds. Other features include stereo microphones, a proximity sensor, and full Steam VR support, including compatibility with Steam VR base stations, controllers, and accessories. The Beyond comes in 15 sizes, and Bigscreen's face scanning app also allows it to assemble each headset to the dimensions of the user's face. The company even offers optional prescription lens inserts for VR users with glasses. However, this new headset does not come cheap, as Beyond retails for $999, going up to $1,098 if customers opt for the high-end audio attachment. Additionally, while the pricey VR headset earned praise for its comfort and performance, this comes at the cost of certain sacrifices. Engadget points out that much of the size and weight reduction comes from removing several quality-of-life features that are standard on other headsets. This includes the absence of adjustment knobs, which is why the custom fit and optional lenses are necessary. The Bigscreen Beyond also lacks a built-in camera, making it dependent on Steam VR base stations. The optional audio attachments also come in place of built-in headphones, which the system lacks. The new headset's price tag is still lower than some of its bulkier competitors, like the Meta Quest Pro. However, its main rivals offer an all-in-one experience that Beyond does not. Still, the reduced weight and improved ergonomics may be enough to win VR fans over. Bigscreen plans to launch Beyond this summer and customers can pre-order it now from the company's website. A recent leak indicates that parent company Meta may be working on a Meta Quest subscription service. While the Meta Quest edition hasn't been confirmed yet, there's good reason to believe that the information is valid. Meta has been known to sell its Meta Quest virtual reality headsets at a financial loss, and the virtual reality portion of the company has struggled to turn a profit. Getting players to commit to a monthly fee to get free games would likely help Meta out, and users would be able to play a number of games they might not have otherwise. A hidden page on the Meta mobile app indicates that the tier service is in the works. While the page seems to have since been taken down, a user was able to capture a screenshot and shared it with others to see. The page reads like a sales pitch, introducing users to the concept of the Game Pass and telling them what to expect from it. Similar to PS Plus, users would be able to choose up to 2 games or apps every month. The most exciting element is that users would be able to keep any apps or games that they download so long as they remain subscribed to the service. It is called the Quest Pass. Nothing is set in stone at this time, but it's something that will likely intrigue Meta Quest owners and gamers who are familiar with these types of subscription services on other platforms. Outside of PS Plus and Xbox Game Pass, users can get perks and free games through services like Amazon/Twitch Prime, EA Play, Ubisoft, and Epic Games Store regularly gives out free games. It would make sense for Meta to be laying the foundational groundwork to create its own similar service right now, given the Meta Quest 3 is slated to release this year. Of course, there are probably lots of other Meta Quest users who wouldn't be interested in such a service. Many consumers and gamers are feeling a sort of subscription fatigue from having to pay so many companies every month to utilize their services. Adding one more to the list might not appeal to gamers who are already signed up for a console subscription service and potentially countless others. The question also remains of how much Meta would charge for this service. That amount could make or break how users feel about it, especially after spending $399 or more to purchase the headset itself. Tencent has decided to suspend any further development when it comes to its VR hardware, sources reported to Reuters. The Chinese video game publisher is the largest of its kind in the world and had both software and hardware plans in the extended reality (XR) market. However, insiders claim this is not the case anymore, and Tencent is abandoning the project. In June 2022, Tencent launched an XR team that consisted of almost 300 people. Virtual reality is a booming business currently. Last year Globe Newswire reported that it was valued at $7.5 billion in 2021 and is projected to reach a value of $37 billion by 2028. There are already plenty of companies that create games and various applications for VR, not to mention the headsets themselves. The Meta Quest is one of the most widely used and known brands for gamers next to the PlayStation VR, with the PlayStation VR 2 released on February 22, but the list could go on with such brands as Microsoft, HTC, or Google. It seems like a worthy market to join, yet Tencent allegedly ran into complications. 3 different sources within Tencent came forward to report on the cancellation of the project, but none of them wanted to be named as this is confidential information. Apparently, the reason Tencent no longer wants to continue its work with VR is due to economic reasons. The company came up with a ring-like handheld game controller, but according to one of the sources, an internal forecast said the XR project was not projected to become profitable until 2027. Knowing the high number of companies Tencent invests in and the projects it nurses, it's understandable to wish for quick profits. Another issue was the fact Tencent didn't feel hopeful about any of the games or other applications it was working on. However, when Tencent was directly asked to comment on these reports, the answer wasn't straightforward. The Chinese company said the development plans for its hardware have taken a different direction and because of that it's restructuring some of the business teams. But it denied the claims of the XR unit being scrapped. Nevertheless, as a direct result of Reuters' report, Tencent shares have dropped by 2.5%. The ambitions of VR hardware did come as a surprise for most from a company that mainly handles software, although one of the sources said Tencent did actually dip into the VR world 7 years ago, and its interest was revived by new breakthroughs in technology. On the flip side of this, now plenty of companies are letting go of staff as the fear rises about the possibility of a global recession. Among those companies were major VR competitors Meta and Google as well. So while the market as a whole seems promising, it does seem companies fear making big leaps in the current financial climate. And that's all for the video guys. Like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics, and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then from SMPV, it's goodbye.